This is blade holder. This is blade. Now we need to put the blade into the blade holder. Let's take off the blade cap. And then put the end of the blade into the blade holder. Here, just put it in. Then we turn the cap to adjust the blade length. If you found it is hard to turn, you may need to lose the yellow screw. Let's lose the yellow screw here. Then you can easily turn the cap to adjust the blade length. The length of the blade should be just a little bit thicker than the material you want to cut. For example, now if we want to cut this kind of vello, it is very thin, so we need to adjust the blade extent very little, even nearly hard to see. After we adjust the blade extent, let's tighten the yellow screw to lock it. Now let's put the blade holder into cutter's black jaw clamp. Loose jaw clamp screw. Use finger to hold the jaw clamp and then put the blade holder in. Tighten the screw to lock it. Now let's use cutter's direction key to move the blade to the place we want to start the cut. Okay, here it is. Before test cut, let's click Set to set pressure. Let's set as 4 and press Test Cut. Here we can see the result. Pressure is not enough. Let's go to Set to increase pressure. Let's increase to 8 and test cut. Let's check the result. Here we get a good cutting. In this video, we will show you how to feed material. Here are pinch wheels. And here are steel rollers. You can see here are many rollers. They are used for hold different size of material. Pay attention. The rubber wheels must match the steel roller. If like this is wrong. If not match, you need to press down the lever here and then move the pinch wheel to steel roller. It is movable. Now let's feed material. If we want to feed A3 vello, we can see the steel rollers is good for A3 size. We put the material in. When we feed material, we put it as flat as possible. After put the material, we raise up the level to press down the pinch wheels. Now the material is pressed. You can see the material can move very smooth. It's very quick. You can press down the level to raise up the pinch wheels to get the material out. Or you can use the direction key to unload the material. Let's try again to put A4 size material. The method is the same. Put the material on suitable rollers and raise up level to press down pinch wheels. That's it. Thank you.
Pinch wheels would grip the mat and allow it to be fed backwards and forwards in the machine during cutting. Behind the machine is a large lever. When lowered, the pinch wheels are unlocked and can be moved left to right. The small lever on each pinch wheel should be raised for most cutting. On exceptionally dense materials, you can temporarily lower them for a tighter grip. When the large lever is raised, notice that the pinch wheels can no longer be moved. The pinch wheels can only be repositioned when the lever is in the down position. For most cutting, you only need 2 pinch wheels on each side of the mat. The left pinch wheel can be moved all the way to the left when not in use. For the pinch wheels to grip the mat properly, they must be positioned over grit shafts. These white arrows serve as a reminder to always check the position of your pinch wheels before loading the mat and beginning a cut job. Let's lower the lever behind the machine and position our wayward pinch wheel over the grit shaft. Here's a close-up of a correctly positioned pinch wheel. The raised, rough surface of the grit shaft and the downward pressure of the pinch wheel is what keeps the mat feeding correctly when cutting. Remember, before loading the mat, double-check that each of the 2 outer pinch wheels are positioned over grit shafts. With the pinch wheel lever behind the machine lowered, let's insert the mat. Raise the lever to lower the pinch wheels and lock the mat in place. Remember, always keep your active pinch wheels positioned over grit shafts, lower the lever to move things around, and raise the lever to lock things in place before cutting. To get started using the test pen, let's first take a piece of scrap cardstock and stick it to the mat. I like to roll a brayer over the cardstock to be sure it's uniformly adhered to the mat. Always check that the pinch wheels are positioned over a grit shaft. Now let's insert our mat so the cardstock is between and not under the pinch wheels. Once the mat is positioned correctly, raise the pinch wheel lock lever. Use the touchscreen to move the tool holder over an area of your paper. Insert the test pen and loosen the tool holder screw so the tip of the pen touches the paper. Lift the pen just a bit, about 1/8 of an inch or 2 millimeters, then retighten the screw. Be sure not to push the tool holder down when tightening the screw. The pen should not be touching the paper once you're done. On the touch panel, press the speed and force button, set speed to 7 and set force to 30. When I press the test button, the tool holder will drop so the pen is touching the paper, and then a square will be drawn. If you don't see a square, be sure the test pen writes when using it in your hand. There might be a bit of plastic covering the nib. You might just need to scribble for a bit to get the ink flowing, or maybe the pen was just a bit too high in the holder. Before getting started, you may want to set some basic preferences. These are optional, but it's a good idea to at least be familiar with the possibilities. The first thing to point out is the Skycut C-Series does have a touchscreen. On the home screen, we can tap these arrows to position the cutting head. Tapping the speed control icon will slow the movement speed so you can achieve very precise positioning. To set some preferences, let's tap into the set screen. When a cut completes, I prefer the cutting head to go back to where it started, so I'm going to change advanced mode from to end to start. I suggest disabling options for the laser engraving accessory unless you're actively using it. To do that, tap into the advanced settings, then system mode, and change that from laser plus cut to one head. After doing that, you can see we have a streamlined home screen. In general settings, you can also choose whether you prefer inches or millimeters, as well as set the interface language to something other than the default. In this video, we'll calibrate the Skycut's camera so we can achieve perfect results on print and cut projects, also known as contour cutting. All we need to complete this calibration is the test pen and a piece of paper on your cutting mat inserted into the Skycut. Let's start by setting appropriate speed and force settings for the test pen. Set speed to 8 and set force to 30. If you'd like to double check that your test pen is inserted correctly, press the test button on the home screen to draw a square. If necessary, adjust the height of the test pen and retest until you're satisfied with the result. To begin the calibration process, move the pen to a clean area of the paper. Tap the Set button, then tap Camera. Tap Adjust to switch to calibration mode, and then tap Start. A test shape will be drawn, and then the camera will position itself over it and capture a photo. Our goal is to align the dashed blue lines with the cross in the test shape. We do this by moving the red cross over the center of the test shape and tapping OK. Tap the X3 button to zoom in for a closer view. To move the red cross, tap the screen, or for more precise positioning, tap the arrows on the bottom of the screen. When you've positioned the red cross on the center of the shape, tap OK. The Skycut will then capture another photo. Repeat the process of positioning the cross and tapping OK until the cross stays in the correct position. Tap X3 again to zoom out, and you should see the dashed blue lines are now centered on the cross. The camera is now calibrated, and you can tap the home button to exit. If you ever want to double check the calibration, just repeat the process. Make sure the test pen is over an empty portion of the paper, tap the set button, tap camera, tap adjust, tap start. Another shape will be drawn and an image captured. It looks like the dashed line is aligned correctly, and we can tap X3 to zoom in and check that the cross is aligned correctly as well. Looks good, so let's tap the home button and exit out. The process of executing a print and cut project is different depending on the software. To connect the Skycut to a wireless network, begin by tapping the set icon, then tap Wi-Fi, then tap the scan button next to the SSID field. The machine will then look for wireless networks in its vicinity and present a list where you can select yours. If it's a long list, you can tap and hold the scroll bar on the right side of the screen to look through all the different entries, find yours in the list, tap it, then tap Apply. To set a password, tap the Set button next to the password field and use the on-screen keyboard to enter in your password. There's a special key to show symbols and special characters, and on keys with multiple characters like letters, you might need to tap that key a few times to select the correct one. Once you're done entering your password, just tap the OK button, which is the button all the way at the bottom and in the center of the screen. Then tap Apply. If the machine's able to connect, you'll see that button change to Connected OK, and if you ever need it, your IP address is always displayed at the top of the home screen. And if you're having trouble connecting, try moving the machine closer to the access point during setup.